Can I thank the member for his question? I'm committed to helping nature to flourish in our city and was re-elected with a mandate to build on the incredible progress we've made since 2016 to deliver a greener, more nature-rich city for all Londoners. Since 2016, I'm proud to have invested more than £30 million in London's green infrastructure. I've supported more than 500 projects across London, delivering park improvements, more than 600,000 new trees, 85 hectares of publicly accessible green space have been created through 2 new woodland creation projects, and free trees have been given to community groups, schools, faith groups and housing associations. We've supported community gardens, river restoration, nature recovery and rewilding projects, including bringing beavers back to London for the first time in 400 years. My Rewild London Fund has awarded over £2.5 million to 62 projects to enhance and connect London's most important places for wildlife, and my Green and Resilient Spaces Fund awarded £6.9 million to 35 projects to fund innovative enhancements to green and blue spaces and the wider public realm. I'll continue to provide opportunities for more Londoners to benefit from London's nature through my new Green Roots Fund, which I'm excited to be launching shortly. Green Roots will provide grant funding to transform neighbourhoods into more nature-rich, healthy and resilient places. Our goals are not just about existing sites, but to expand our nature recovery efforts. I draft London's local nature recovery strategy, which is part of my forthcoming Green Infrastructure Network, has been developed with help from Londoners, boroughs and experts across the city. I will identify opportunities to improve nature and how to enhance it. The London Plan also includes policies that provide protection for existing valuable nature-rich sites and green spaces, as well as requiring new development to deliver new green infrastructure, accessible open spaces and biodiversity. Development can help deliver new sites for nature and unlock investment for London's wider biodiversity networks, which will be identified in my local nature recovery strategy. I'll continue to use my planning powers to protect and enhance London's nature and remain committed to improving the equity of provision for all. I'm determined to ensure that London is a nature-rich city which provides opportunities for people of all ages to access nature wherever possible, be that a local park, a community garden or a cleaner and accessible riverside.
Thank you very much for your answer. I really genuinely want to applaud hearing that we want to be a nature-rich city. This is so important. I'm sure you've come across the Rights of Nature campaign, which is essentially saying, yes, we need human rights, and of course we agree on that, but actually nature has rights too. Without nature, that's an existential threat. There's lots of projects you're doing there that I absolutely support, like the beavers, for instance. It's brilliant to see rewilding and reintroducing species. I'm also really struck that we're one of the most nature-depleted countries in the world, and London isn't doing great. So I applaud the ambition in the future. I want to check that we're in the same place. Are you worried about the state of nature in London right now?
It's improved hugely, but it can improve even more. I'm particularly concerned about access to nature. I think it's an issue of social justice and racial justice. And again, hand on heart, I became fully cognizant during the pandemic of how it affects us. And so I think you're right to amplify the importance of nature. It actually benefits us human beings. So it's not us versus nature, which has been the sort of view of many of us city dwellers for too long.
I agree with this point that it's not us versus nature, particularly around building and development. So bats and newts often get used as an example, but the Wildlife Trust did a report that shows only in 3% of applications are bats and newts anything to do with it. And also the suggestion is that still doesn't block development. But when I make this argument and when the Wildlife Trust makes this argument, or Alice Roberts from CPRE, people shout NIMBY at us. What would you say to the government when they do that?
Okay, I've been the person in charge of planning for big developments over the last 9 years. I can't remember one development where a recommendation has been to refuse because of bats or newts. I can't speak for other parts of the country. I can't speak for small developments, but I think as a caricature I don't recognise in London.
Okay, that's really good to hear. And obviously, I'm sure we'd agree, we need more council houses, and that's absolutely there. We have a housing crisis. But the bats and the newts are not the problem here. The developers are the problem. Would you agree with that?
I think you're really important, the way you phrased it. It mustn't get into a housing versus nature conversation. They both go hand in hand. You will have seen good quality housing where nature is cheek by jowl. You'd also have seen bad housing where it's just a concrete jungle. We've got to get away from them versus us. Great developers that we work with understand the importance of nature to be a great scheme, including regeneration. I think regeneration provides an of an estate or provides an opportunity to have biodiversity gains and to get nature back on there. And we're really being innovative with developers about what more we can do.
Fair play when you're giving a really good answer. I hope Rachel Reeves is listening. Finally, you were talking about green infrastructure earlier on. National highways are doing really good projects around the country where they're taking motorways and railway bridges and building green bridges over them. So they're not for human beings, they're for nature. But these don't feature in your London Plan consultation at all.
We need to address that. So in Camden, there's a really good example where the local community, I emphasise local community working with the council, has got a really good scheme. Anybody who's visited the Highland in New York will see that sometimes you do some really exciting stuff with nature in the middle of a global city. Let me take that away.
And finally, I'm asking this for Assemblymember Garbutt. She's particularly concerned about birds in London and the fact that we're seeing loss of species. Is there going to be any strategy particularly around bird populations?
Yeah, also you'll know about the swift brick and so forth. And so I think there's things we can do in terms of encouraging this again. I'm sure there is work being done, it's just not in my brief. So can I take that away and come back to him to reassure him?
If you could write to me, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Chair.